Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic Season 3, Episode 3. I actually got it right this week. So yeah, the show title, I was kind of hoping I could get TSM to read this out. TSM, what is the show title tonight?
I have absolutely no idea.
But the show title is a play on words. It's Now I'm Experienced, Will It Still Hurt? Which, of course, is referencing the VXP weekend.
Yeah, sure it is. Yeah,
sure it is. Sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, obviously the VXP is the big discussion, I guess. Are you still laughing? Did you not read the show, TSM?
No. That's funny.
I was hoping you were going to read it out, but
what a dick. That's funny.
Yeah, anyway, guys, so VXP, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about some of the changes that happened during the week and get onto some of that later in the episode, but I guess the first thing is VXP. So how did you, I'll go from my furthest left on my screen, which is Brian. How was VXP weekend? How did you find it?
It's okay. It's the same as last month with the 100, but you actually need 4 hits now instead of 3 to skull your ships. And when your repair time for 4 blanks is 11 hours with significant reductions, by the way, it's over 13 hours normal time, then it's a little annoying. I did 3 hits with my 4 Hydra shells, and I have VXP tokens saved from the Hydra campaign, where the RNG gods will dictate if you will do well with Hydras or not. So I can finish sculling those, and I don't have, I didn't get the flagships, so I don't have to rank them. So it's done. It's okay, but they did lower the VXP this time from last. So they need to not do that.
Okay. Okay, no problem. And Imre?
Well, I pretty much wasn't in a good mood last night, so I did some filthy coining and sorted out my ranking problems, and I went to the cinema.
Okay. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
How was your, you jumped in just at the right time, bud. How did you find VXP weekend? What was your experience?
I haven't done it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, no worries. Well, TSM, come on, hit us with your wisdom, TSM.
It's very lacking, actually, to be honest. Yeah, so it seems like with the double salty you're getting, or the triple salty, some people call it, but the blue one, it seems like you're getting about 13k per ship. That's great if you take in 3 ships. Then it looks like you're getting just about enough. If you go for a full fleet, you don't seem to get enough to do 13k each one sort of stuff, because obviously it's a max payout. So I wouldn't take it in a full fleet, but you can take in 3 ships. Probably get away with 4 if you're not using the flag, and then you'll get approximately, I was getting like 26 and a bit k for 2 sort of stuff. Clearly, if you've obviously part ranked last time and then you've added armor, then obviously your stats will be different. But for blank ships, it's as Brian was saying, I think there's 1 more hit required this time, which is not ideal, because obviously your repair times aren't favorable when it's not raid time, because you don't get the half repair. So, but I'm doing okay. As long as you can roll those sort of crews, and you can sort of get, if you get straight away into it, you'll be able to get 3 hits definitely, and then fix. If you put armors on, it's going to be a little more cheeky, but I wouldn't have thought people that haven't ranked have got armors on yet. But yeah, I haven't done. I'm not doing conqueror ones, because obviously I get those tokens from the mega ship using that titanium bonus thing for the 10k token each time. So 6 ships, I'm almost done. Not quite, but almost done.
Yeah, is the I mean, I didn't take part in the last VXP weekend. I'm not even sure I took part in the last few. Is the 10k base defender token, is that a regular thing now? Because that's brilliant. I'm really happy to see it.
It's the 2nd time I think it is.
Maybe only for siege, because it is literally impossible to rank a defender hull, most of which don't move now, which is why on these targets. So by going in and killing them, which a lot of players should have the tech to do by now, you just get them. I got enough VXP to Skull
They
X
offered
Defender
them,
ship
they
just
offered them
because.
the very last one when it was a Scourge.
Yeah, I mean, it is the S target from previous time. It's the old 100, and to be honest, Cannoneers can nip round and do it for free as long as you're a little bit cautious. And if you're really a bit cautious about the middle island blatting you, you can actually pinch it. So even if you just drive straight across to it, you can pinch it straight away, take out the whole goddamn thing, and then drive straight through. Then come back and nick the turrets if you wanted to. So it's not horrendous.
No, I have to say it wasn't a great target for Hydras because obviously that target was designed for ballistics, but. You know, I did get that. Let me move along in the line to Rick. Rick, how did you find it?
Yeah, I think everybody said everything that's happened. You know, they've had the extra, they have had a little bit extra VXP, but it's all in all, it's been going very, very well.
No worries. And Holsh?
Been going good. I finally used one of my grease monkeys to just half my repair for one time, so that helped.
Nice.
Mr. Extravagant.
Yeah. Tripod?
Yeah, the same. Just one GM last night and did the repair, and I'm all done.
Nice. Okay, Venom.
I forgot it was VXP weekend.
You're behind.
What?
Yep, I'm a little bit behind.
Oops.
Bloody.
I thought you were joking when you said that.
No, I really forgot.
No.
I don't look at the tar often, so.
What are you doing here then? Oh, you could do multitasking.
as well.
Yeah, multitasking. Yeah.
Well, I must say, I mean, I had about five fleets to rank. 2 Zelos, Hope, you know, and it was painless. It was quite straightforward. You know, I managed to get through it, and it was a good VXP for me, for sure.
So go on then. What fleets have you ranked? Go on, just in total fleets. Just tell how bad a corner you are.
So there was a full fleet of hunters with the flag.
Right, 1.
Fangs.
2.
Hydras with the flag, full fleet.
3.
There was the 2 Zelos free mono that I built for doing FMs for free because I was running IBs before.
4 fleets, yeah. Go on, keep going.
What was the other one? The Hope I just did the tokens with, do you know what I mean? But I had some old ships lying about that weren't ranked too, so I did that. There was another fleet as well. Which fleet was it? I'd have to load my base, but it was
A gunbug.
It was busy, you know. It was busy. The Hydras took The Hydras took longer than the Fangs, and that's the truth. They took a lot. I don't know why.
Easy.
It was.
It's the same as the other ones.
It was more financially beneficial for me just to let them die than it was to actually kill the target, which I noticed after killing about 20 targets, that if I just let them die and just coin them, it was much quicker.
That's the same story last time. You just go in and kill it. Suicide. It's the same story as this time. Go in, kill it, go into the 100, get suicide, repair, do the same thing.
Suicide, mate. Suicide's painless.
Yeah,
it's easy.
I'm sat on about 50 of those tokens, I think, now.
Oh, you a bloody idiot. Sorry. Waste of money.
Well,
Defender tokens
Never needs to rank a defender for like 2 years, though.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I like them.
Yeah, it's easy.
well, no, I mean, I didn't intentionally seek out defender tokens. That was just how many I had left at the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good to get ships ranked. But yeah, it did cost me a few coins.
What you're saying is everybody that was outside the hundreds thinking, "Oh, you'll be dead in a minute, and I'll jump in afterwards." They didn't get the chance because you killed them all. I bet you were popular.
But then I started killing some for people and leaving like a little block of wall in so they could get some.
Well, how nice is that? Oh,
That's just
community spirited individual.
that is the kind of guy I am. You know, that's the level of commitment I put myself out for the community. You know.
I don't see Tripod doing that. I see him sinking them with his subs while they're waiting.
No.
Brings the tears to my eye.
I help in raids sometimes.
Yeah, well, in fact, we'll talk about that in a minute because Chris is here because I want to see how that feedback was. But, yeah, keep going, mate. So,
Okay, guys. Well, I guess we've kind of covered VXP. Is there anything else anyone wanted to throw out there about VXP?
It's dull.
Easy.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the absolutely amazing discussion that I'm sure you're all super excited to discuss, which is the changes in PvP this week. Obviously, we did cover it in the show to an extent, but I guess now you've had a few days to toy around with modules, hit some bases and see how it's affecting your base. So, I mean, I'll leave the floor open to you. I mean, how are you finding these changes? Venom, I know. Actually, Venom, do you want to kick it off? Because I know you were quite vocal about it before we went live. So,
there was a lot of people who have been caught out very hard
Me.
by this change. Looking at Mark, there's no communication about it, which is a big problem. People could have had time to update their bases so that they at least had a chance. There's recently been a lot of people relying very, very heavily on the morts specifically, and to nerf them down so that you can only have
95%.
Yeah, it's without any warning. It's a bit of a joke, to be honest. But for the people who like going out hitting, it's just joyful. Many bases have been opened up. It's good in one sense that there's more action happening, but for a lot of people, it's a big pain in the hole that their bases are now getting flattened when they were basically impossible before. But
it's similar to the change that last year in the spring.
Yep.
For you guys in the base, regarding the base. You know what I mean? Like last year in springtime, Kickside did the whole thing about the base and what was it, deflection and everything or whatever.
Oh, you mean the PvP, PvE?
Yeah, last year we had the same issue.
No, it was 2016. That was.
Was it?
Yeah. It was like the first quarter of 2016 when GD.
I thought it was last year. Oh man, I've been drinking too much.
Last year was officially known as the year of hell for BP, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I thought about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the PvP PvE divide, that was a massive thing because obviously they classified holes, give everything a bracket, and changed literally everything as we knew it. So it was
That's my thinking. Like you were saying, Venom, can you compare those two scenarios with this one? Oh,
the impact's similar.
Yeah.
But it's almost easier to adjust to this because we've had a period before where the morts weren't so heavily needed, and we've also got a load of ships at the moment that are basically immune to most bases with morts anyway.
So you're ranking
it's a little bit easier to adjust to, but it's still a major adjustment that needs done for a lot of people, and they really should have said, "Look, we're going to be changing these things."
Yep. Prepare the players. This is what we're going to do in 2 months or 3 months or whatever.
Yeah, my biggest gripe about it isn't that they didn't tell us. It's more that we've now got ships with huge deflections that aren't needed. Like there's, say, the Viscerator's got 580,000 explosive deflection, and that was brought around because of the morts, but now it's got such high deflection that any ship really out there is not going to do much damage to it explosive wise. Same with the Hope. The Hope was brought out because these ships had such high deflections, but they haven't been managed the same as the morts have been managed. So you've lost all the damage from the morts, but the ships have stayed the same. So now you've got ships that will take no damage from any morts anymore.
Okay.
I think they really should have. I know it would upset a lot of the community of them changing ships, but they really should have changed the ships when they were changing the base as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what you're saying is like they've released holes and they've tailored holes against the stats of us being able to have so many of these tack fields, and now the tack fields have changed, but the ships haven't, and we're left with balanced hulls.
Yeah, you're basically just left with most of your turrets not doing anything. They're just there for show. And people have spent thousands of coin on their base, and it's just been wasted because it's now pointless.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
I'm,
sorry,
Good.
Ryan, go ahead, Ryan.
yeah, I'm not sure how much Kix I actually know how, integrated the whole PvP thing is. Venom just mentioned it. There's hulls that were clearly designed for this. I forget when exactly tech mods came out and you were able to stack in the manner that you did, but they should have known about it for a while looking at the metrics.
I imagine
Chris,
they
I'm gonna
have.
mute you.
I imagine,
Sorry. Good.
I imagine they have known about it for a while, but I mean, the thing is, they obviously knew that it was an issue, which is why they started making holes with such crazy high, resistances and deflection. And instead of saying, right, we need to correct this now, they started balancing fleets against it, fleet tech against it. And that's the problem. I think that's why everyone's, why it's causing such a big impact. If they would have just said, look, let's fix it now before it gets worse, and instead they're waiting a few months and fixing it much later in the month.
It's not even waiting a few months. It's they had again, there's ships that were designed the old way, now it's the new way. Those aren't being fixed, and how what's currently in development now, and how is that going to affect what's currently in development? How is that going to affect what's going forward? As we've seen ever since the Mado missile existed and was put on a gluttony with 300% splash or whatever you could get on there, they haven't corrected the actual problem. They've just been releasing a series of stronger and stronger things every 2 weeks to try to sort of get things in line, but it's never really in line. And I know that, Bounty's coming up and they had to make Bounty feasible by reducing the power of bases, but this seems too sudden. And again, even though you can change things around for next to nothing now, people were putting 10-day weapons on turrets after full base parts because that's the time that Kixeye appointed them. And now hopefully they'll reduce turret time so that people don't get cut out like this again. But it seems like they don't know what they're doing. And to jump over a quick sec to the raid, that was a design failure after the whole class thing where they're putting things into boxes, and it makes sense that they're able to design things for it easier because they have a better understanding of our limits as players, as what we can put on a ship, so they can kind of plan for that. But they failed with that in PvE, which is the easier thing to do because they set all the rules. They set all the weapon and ship combinations. But in PvP, players can come up with things very easily that the devs never could. And now they're just having to fix that. So they can't balance the easier thing. How are we going to trust them to balance the harder thing?
Do you trust them at all anymore?
I do think it's a step in the right direction. It's just not been carried out the best or the most effective way.
They needed to do it, but they've not done it right, I think.
They've definitely not done it right. Again, communication is huge here.
Hey, didn't they say they were going to have better communication about large PvP changes back when they split them up 2 years ago? Because I'm pretty sure they did. That was one of the things they were supposed to have learned from that.
See, one of my biggest gripes right now is 30-day turret changes. I think that's just absolutely ridiculous and should never ever have been. Should never. I mean, maybe even 20 days is too much. When they released 20 days for, the Wendigo and whatnot. I mean, that was ridiculous. And this leaked to 30 days. I mean, how did they ever expect anyone to progress? By the time OP11 comes out, no one's going to be ready. It's just, for me, it just is massively too much 30 days a change. because you can't adapt and alter like you're meant to be able to with PvP. That's the whole point of base parts, is you can alter and change quickly to adapt to changes. It's making PvP more interactive and more fun and more challenging. But now we're all kind of locked in this position where it takes 30 days to add a turret, which is just a joke.
Yeah, but they're not using base parts now as a part for you lot to be able to change for PvP. They're using it for people to catch up.
They're taking base parts into account, I think, is the main thing, which is kind of what they're doing with FM tokens and raid tokens, etc., where it used to be a bonus and now it's a requirement. These new top turrets, I think, take about the same amount of time as the old top turrets, but now we have base parts. But the amount of time to put it on didn't change. They upped the time because they figured we'd have full base parts. And yeah, it gets people caught up, and that's great. But at the top end, it's lacking, and I feel like the top end is... well, here's the reason for it, I guess. I feel like the top end is more where they would want to make it easier, but then again, if they make it easier, people at the top end are going to coin changes. So there we go. I figured out the answer while I thought of the question.
I'm just quite annoyed that they've made the change without telling us, so people have made turrets that will be now pointless and have spent their time, and a lot of them have spent their money for a specific product, which is now changed from the description it had to start with, which I think is just purely unfair.
Women, that's the same story all the time, you know. It's been going on for years. They do that all the time. They do. We've been talking about. I've been seeing shows and everything. It comes up every 2-3 times a year. Kick's gonna flipping us over the other side, you know, and people's gonna be mad about it.
But is this an effort from, you know? Is this an effort from them? Have they kind of realized that there's issues in PvP towards the end of 2017? And they did discuss that in 2018 they were going to try and restore balance and bring everything back in line. You know, so is this them doing that? Is this them having to do the dirty jobs first before they give us?
It's definitely that they've heard outcry from the people who say that this is a bit too much. They've taken into account our opinions and they've decided to put the fix in. Otherwise, we'd just be going up the same path we've been the end of last year, of getting stronger and stronger ships with stronger and stronger turrets. I looked at it, wouldn't have been very effective for the game to continue that way, and they've finally listened to us and they've started to put in place actions that will help balance the PvP game in the future. But again, they've just done it just not right at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
They should tell us. That's the simple thing. They should tell us straight out and right. Because I put money on it, and there's a lot of people in the same boat as me considering quitting. I more or less have quit over it. Because I'm just sick and tired of all this shit. And there's going to be a lot of people, especially the people who put a lot of fucking coin into the game for their base, who are going to go, nah, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Well, I mean, for me, my base was a farm before this change, so I don't really get it. The change is not something that I'm too fussed about because everything could get me anyway. So
everything could get me. It's just the way they've gone around doing it. It's just the same old thing with kicks.
But
the thing on your back and mate, you open up your arse cheeks, mate, and here we go.
But no, I don't disagree with you, right? But what? See, I would rather them say, accept that they've done some stuff wrong, implement changes that we're going to be pissed off about immediately, but long term we're going to see a more strategic, balanced PvP game later in the year. And if that's what it takes, then I would rather take the blow now to see it improved in the future. And we've seen them do. I've seen GDR do that kind of stuff before. He did that in 2016. And if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But I'd rather they actually just were more upfront about it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like women talk talked about we don't give a warning about what's going on a couple months before. And Kickside always being pride of us said, "Oh, we are planning ahead and everything, months ahead and years ahead." So this plan was planned months ago. So why didn't they tell us before that? Because they listened to us, like somebody said. Are they going to listen to the players? We don't like this PvP stuff because the base is too strong, the fleet is too strong, but we need a more balance. And then they're going to do this just within like nada, short time. They planned that months ago, for sure. They can't
there's no way they just woke up one morning and went, "Hello, we're going to do all this."
No.
There's no cat and mouse chance they did that.
No, they didn't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they were looking at bounty for this year and thinking, right, if this, I've got an idea for a hole, but if we're going to make this hole work, we're going to have to give it this, this, and this. And then, they obviously, realized that it just can't go on forever like that, and realized that they had to change it.
Same story, same old same.
Well, TSM, you've been awfully quiet. I know.
For a reason. It's not me to say a great deal. Okay, so I had a bit of a moment, in the Tuesday show where obviously the TAC labs were announced and that sort of stuff out the blue, quite rightly, as they've said that if they were to tell the community first and give us a bit of a countdown sort of notice of 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, I could prepare for that. For me personally, I went into the raid. I got all the tokens I could to upgrade some more turrets in my base, and I upgraded the turrets in my base. That's fine, no problem at all. And I stuck a monster turret on with as many base parts as I could save up because I did the expeditions, as we were informed. Started then a monster upgrade of the turret top and all the bits to go with it. And literally 2 days later, what happens? You can change your TAC labs for free. You can't. If you've got a 15-day build still going. So I can't do anything. And actually, unless I want to coin it, I don't see why I should, so I'm not. So I'm basically a farm. So I've got no defense whatsoever. So come on, medals.
Yeah, but
probably that much.
Yeah, but what you got to think of is that thing you're putting on top of your turret actually going to be worth it?
No, at some point as well, because it's not. It's my fifth and last actually. Mortar, which actually serves no purpose, and I was killing everything.
Cancel it. If it's not going to be worth it, cancel it and try and put something better on it.
Just out of principle, I'm just leaving it there, and I'm putting a ticket, and we'll see what's going to come back from it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to cancel it. I want them to actually reimburse everything. But that's my choice because that's the way I want to look at it. But I'm not overly impressed because there isn't many things out there now that can do a lot of good, like the adders out there and that sort of stuff. And there are a couple of things, but yeah. I mean, okay, so I'm in the worst of situations, like many other people. Not everybody, but many other people. I've got 5 turrets now, which don't really serve a purpose. And they've all taken a hell of a long time to build. And, if I was to change for other turrets, then maybe they would work. But looking at the mechanics and the math of some of the holes out there, I can't actually stop them personally, to be honest. That's my thing. So yeah, but on the flip side, I still think it had to be done. Otherwise, we'd have a train crash as opposed to a car crash in 2018, because the last bounty hole that came out is just now super overpowered, and the only thing was stopping it was epic catmorts, really, to be honest, with the radiation boost that you could get using loads of those attack modules. So what would the next hull have been? What would be coming next as a defender to kill it? And then what would be the next attacking hull? So the line does have to be drawn, but some notification beforehand would have been really, really good.
Why don't they stop giving us new holes? Let's get a build hold You have to build it from scratch. You know what I mean? Like a shipbuilder. Like you get the hull and you put stuff on it, and you get that hull, and you devolve it, or what do you call it? And slowly, you just got one hull. Instead of we get new hulls all the time. You know what I'm saying?
You mean like one hole that you could maybe just change the stats and progress?
No, you build on it all the time.
Like CICs?
Well, I think we've seen the start of that, haven't we, in the PvE environment? So let's see. I mean, with the start of the season, this will be the first thing that we'll be looking at now. Is this next bounty? Let's see what it brings. Let's see. I'm intrigued to see which way they're going to take us in 2018. Bear in mind, the bounty is coming after the TAC module adjustment, so the hull that's coming should come in with that in mind, that we can't multiple stack TACs. I mean, people's central islands are going to change massively. There's no point stacking tons of stuff. It's a waste of time anymore. So base shapes can change now because you just can't benefit from too many. So there's no point having, a plethora of things in the middle of your base anymore. It's not negative. I'm probably sounding very negative. I'm a bit annoyed, obviously, but yeah, well, I can hopefully grizz through this and then see out the long run. And yeah, funny enough, my base is getting hit at the moment, but I don't care. Whatever.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It happens,
Well, they probably already swung by mine and had their free meal. And they had their starter with me, TSM, and they came to you for the main.
Now yours is all right for 5 seconds, mate. You're all right.
Yeah, it's rare. I know. I changed my name back to Liam99. It's the longest I've gone not being hit. I should have said that live, but I'd get hit more.
Look slightly northeast, all right, and you'll find it.
Worth no medals to you, so probably worth no medals to like new players either. Anyway, so guys, I mean, any more discussion on PvP? We've still got another half hour to discuss things, and I think that was one of our main topics. So, is there more stuff you'd like to elaborate on?
I'd like to know from people what they'd like to see hull-wise in Bounty. Not necessarily the power of it, forget that, but what do you think's missing in their toolbox at the moment? What hull would they like to see next? And what do they want it to be? Do we want another defender? God, please say no. Okay, because there are some strong holes out there, but there are also some pretty strong defending holes. But what are you looking for? I don't know.
Please give us a ship which has both corrosive and concussive deflection on it. I'm tired of subs.
We don't need more holes. We need a hole we can build from the scratch, and we just need the whole thing. They have to turn out. Yeah, I know it's too late now, but they should think about all the stuff we have in our advanced labs and everything. Is too much, man.
I would like to see some upgrade. I would like to see some better turrets, to be honest. I know we had some tier 7 turrets in the form of the new mortar and the new kind of launcher turret, but I don't know. I'd like to see some more powerful frontline turrets. I kind of feel one thing I dislike about base design, at least when I design my base myself, is basically your island's your base defense, and the rest you just shove up front, and it really doesn't matter what's on them. They're just there to just give you your bubble pad. And I hate that. Me personally, I dislike that strategy. I'd like to actually incorporate all my turrets and not just have turrets up front wasted. I would like a very strategic layout, and you just can't do that in the game. It's not viable because you have to have that protection pad. But I don't know. I'd like to see the strategy of base defense change in that manner. That it's not just a block in the middle with a few ships right at the end. I'd like to see it being a lot more strategic and thought out.
Remove the bubble effect.
Well, either that or make a trap, worth 25%, and you can just leave, I don't know, do something like that. Have something up front that can cover that, and then you can strategically that. But the thing is, all of the frontline turrets we have in this game are absolutely useless. They may as well just be pea shooters, I mean, spud guns. They do nothing to anything. So we've been lacking that for a very long time. Is actually some decent like short range frontline turrets. At least I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, adding a few 110, 120 range turrets would really add a lot of variance to base hitting, to bases, so you just don't have island and channel.
Yeah, I mean, it's some half decent stuff to put on your traps as well in terms of turrets.
I just had something before I left, before I went out for a smoke. Someone was on about that they're just doing their last and final epic or whatever it is for 15 days. And now they've got 5. They've had to wait around for doing 5. Now let's just say somebody coined the 15 days out on all 5. Now, you'd be really fucking damn pissed, wouldn't you?
No, I coined 2 more. So.
Yeah, you can't get reimbursed, can you?
No.
No.
They won't reimburse you, even if they well, they could reimburse you for it. But
Yeah,
they'll just turn around and say, well, it's in your base, it's effective. And
that's the big issue, I reckon, about playing online games or whatever. They can do flipping all if they like to.
Well,
that's not right.
The problem is with that is the terms of services do say the content is subject to change.
Yeah, but it's like Liam. It's like going to a car dealership. I want to buy a new wheels for my car, and this guy, the salesman, say, "Oh, these wheels match perfectly to your car." And you buy them, and blah blah blah. You go home, and you're gonna put them on. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. And then you go back to the car dealer and say, "Listen, it doesn't fit." No, he doesn't give a flipping nada. You don't get any money back. It's the same thing. I can't see the differ.
I can understand. I can certainly understand.
The difference is they sell time. They never sell the product. They sell you the time to put on the product.
No, they sell
No.
I disagree. They sell an item like on the raid. They put on the what's it called the green thing.
Shield attack.
Yeah, they put that on the raid in the shop raid to people to put it on the ships.
You didn't spend money to get that. You spent raid points.
No.
Raid points.
No.
You did.
I had built my 3. I only had 3 Buccaneers, and I didn't have the 3 shield tactic field or whatever on it. But after I saw the thing playing going on and on the forums, I put it on. I spent my coins on it. That's money.
For the time to put the thing on, and that's what you got. You got the time. Like
That's
the thing. They don't sell you the products. They never sell you the product.
They sell the
sell
item.
you the time.
You
buy the time with money. You buy the products with coins.
I see what Brian's saying. They do sell you the time.
You still have the item.
That's what they say.
You still have the item when you talk to them. You're just choosing to speed up or not speed up, putting it onto your vessel.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about, the time, but still they're going out selling an item to put on a ship. They're gonna help you. It's
yes,
like
but to get the item, you're just using time.
No, I'm using coins too.
Yes, but the coins just speed up time. That's all they do.
Well, let's.
You can't go into Bounty Raid or FM and go, right, I'm gonna click that coin, click that item, and I'm gonna pay 70 coin. Oh shit, I shouldn't really say this on this site because if Kickside watches, might do it. But hey, I'm gonna click that item, I'm gonna click that 70 coin bit, and that item is now mine. They're not gonna do that because then that's when they can get a shit ton of it. People can start doing shit tons of refunds and go, well, hold up, wait, I bought this. This isn't what it initially said when I bought it. That's what I think it is on about.
That's the issue. That's
But
the
you don't-
issue.
but
About
that's what Brian's saying is you don't do that.
no. But
If
the
they
thing,
did that, then yeah, you could probably get a refund. But other than that, you can't because they don't do it.
no.
Well, listen, guys, let's leave that discussion piece there because I think we could probably go
Yeah.
around and loop.
No worries.
I mean, in terms of your first the first thing you discussed when you brought up the mortars and them no longer being efficient. I mean, they're not as efficient as they were, but they do still have a purpose and a use. Surely, I mean, they do still kill some ships. They just don't kill everything as quickly as they once did. Correct? Like they're not completely useless, is what I'm saying. So it's not like you built 5 and now you don't want them anymore.
I've built 5 and I don't want them anymore.
I'm not happy either. Like between
Sorry,
the big
mate, but
splash
that's the
damage,
case. I've got 5, and all they do is just like they're not even as good as cheese balls in the titanium holes, titanium targets. It's just it's like someone spitting kiddies bubbles at you at the moment. But it's a necessity. I get it, so I'll suck it up and I'll absorb the fact that I probably wasted 2 months of my build times to go down an avenue that 2 months ago, if they'd said the TAC modules were going to be adjusted, I wouldn't be doing what I've done. And 2 months ago, I'd be taking a different avenue and getting different things in the bounty as well. So I've missed two bounty. I didn't get the adder because I didn't need it because I knew what I wanted to do and that sort of stuff. But that's not the situation now. So
okay, so if these mortars are now useless, then what are you guys doing in Middle Island now? I mean,
it's just sitting there doing nothing. Yep. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do now, turret wise.
By the way, the max camp, I have R15 cap morts, and I just looked at my turret, and I just put stuff into a spreadsheet I have. You can get up to 68,500 damage per salvo on explosive without a crit. So, if it's a crit, double it, and it's like almost 140 or whatever. But that's what you need. And I can cross-reference that against holes with more deflection than that, or splash damage and turret defense and all that. Like,
well, I mean, the classic thing is the boulder goes on the outside and everybody just bombs that, and then not the bus goes in, and then it just chips away at little things, and the sloths stay out there as well and doing their own thing. So it's slightly out of range because obviously they've got the cloaking effect, so they don't get targeted.
What they should do is, if you're online, to make base hitting even just a slight bit harder now because of what they've done, is you should be able to pick one gun before the battle starts, which you automatically man, so you can select it to hit whatever.
Yeah, well, it'll be sloths every time.
That would really interesting. You'll only need one cat mortar, and that'll be it, and it'll go through the bus.
Can you not run that priority targeting special that targets?
Doesn't work on morts, mate.
No, it wouldn't.
Everyone
tried it.
Everyone tried the new I can't say it.
Eviscerators. Yeah, the eviscerators.
That's for Liam. This name.
Yeah.
Is that any good?
Base defense, it's all right.
I think it just got a lot better.
It just got better, yeah, but it's not. It still gets minced up by the OP cannon.
So what do you think is the solution then? I mean, you're all, so from what for me, I'm out of the loop on PvP. I'm maybe 3 months behind the game in terms of PvP.
Depends on whose perspective, mate. Whose perspective are you talking? Are you talking from a defending perspective? Good luck.
Well, I'm talking about both. I mean, as players, regardless of whether you're now doing
Get a King's Written, run any base you like.
What I'm saying is, do you feel that Kickseye should now take a look at holes like the King's Written, holes like the Boulder Fist, and do you think that they should adjust their stats to correct them in line with the changes?
Yes.
Wait one. They brought the King's Writ out, right? The King's Writ that was hitting every base. Then you've got the bus to go with it and all that, right? The King's Writ now can still can more or less do that now anyway. Go back. They've brought the King's back to what it used to be able to do. Alright? What they need to do is they need to dumb the fucking thing down.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I it's almost because I mean your I think the confusion from my perspective is they thought that by just having the TAC module being reduced in the numbers you can put on, so you can't obviously get the I mean, I was at 290% on my turrets, or 280%, sorry, of bonus power output, you know, which obviously then with critical hits as well, I could, you know, take out boulders like with 3 shots, simply because of the radiation, the secondary damage, not the primary damage of the explosive. And, you know, people were naively just sitting there thinking, all right, the morts are going to hit that thing. The morts can't do any damage because I've got too much explosive protection. And then they would slide around and use the bus and those sort of things. But, you know, it is what it is. So long as what they're going to do, which I'm going to watch extremely closely for the next couple of months, it justifies it, then I'll ride it out. And we won't know until, you know, 3 or 4 months' time. I'll ride it out because I'm not a massive base hitter. Base hitters are quite happy in some respects, but any base hitting that gets really easy base hitting becomes very boring base hitting, which is one of the reasons I stopped a few years back being a really avid fan of base hitting, because doing the same thing again and again and again just gets boring. But anyway, it has opened up some more bases. So the medal swapping situation is happening at the top of the leader table. I've been keeping an eye on that this weekend particularly. So it is happening, you know, and then people will be spending to do so. So at the end of the day, from Kick Size coffers, you know, it's probably a win for them. But for me personally, it's just I'll pause now for a few months, and you know, I'll wait to see what happens. So I do support it, mate. I do support it, but I don't. I just don't like the way it's been. As Venom and the other guys have said, I just don't like the way it's been carried out, conducted.
And that's the same thing, Mark. Like you said, it's the same thing. We need a pause, but Kicks throw this at us all the time. You know, all the time in question marks. You know, it happens all the time. Yeah. If I could say some bad words right now, I would, but it wouldn't help.
On deaf ears anyway.
Yep.
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, it will be interesting. Bear in mind on Tuesday's show, which may be Wednesday's show, depending on the release of the update and the bounty notes. We're going to have GD Raken on, and he is primarily talking about PvP. Now, hopefully, a lot of the stuff that's been brought up during the show and a lot of the concerns that we've seen in the community about these changes, you know, we can ask him and we can get some answers here and hopefully find out exactly, maybe be a bit more clear and have a bit of clarity as to actually what's going on.
It's got to be a sing-along.
Yeah, but I'll make sure not to invite you. No, I'm just kidding.
Put me on. I'm gonna ask him the naughty questions.
The tough questions, yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. I guess hearing from your guys' points of views, it sounds a little bit more doom and gloom than perhaps I perceived it to be. Because I'm not really hitting bases. I've been getting smashed every time for months, so it's not changed anything for me. You know, it's not absolutely changed a thing. But hearing the way you guys are talking, it sounds like certainly you, Mark. You seem quite depressed, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I have to. Sorry, Mike. I have to say something. It's not that we still enjoy playing it, and the only thing we enjoy playing it is because the mates, the few mates who still got on, we have fun. We can still have a bash, you know, and have fun. But Kickside,
what the hell's this guy doing? I'm just laughing at this guy hitting my base because I don't know.
You can't see it. Put it on live.
Nah, you don't want to see it. He's about to time out though. I don't know what he's doing.
Just FYI, Mark, he offered me to hit the base.
All right. Is he one of yours?
No.
All right. Well, he ain't got no chance of getting in now because he's got like 18 seconds left and he's done. He's just going to click 50% if he's lucky.
He's a learner.
Yeah, I think he's playing with his new ships, actually, which is fair enough, you know.
Yeah, might as well. gonna die though.
Well, he's going to run out of time. Yeah, he's just got his 50% now. Oh, no, he hasn't.
Come on, TSA, put it on the screen. Everyone's intrigued.
It's over. It's
Come
done.
on.
It's done.
He wanted his name tag on YouTube, mate.
Yeah, he probably did. But there you go. Now his medals back. I don't want them. Oh, well.
Listen, guys, there's 10 minutes left of the show. So you now have the floor for 10 minutes to discuss everything or anything you want, as long as it's not swearing, because this is a family show.
So how about something positive that does seem like a negative, but hopefully it will turn into a positive. So for the first time, okay, in the FM, we have restricted content. Okay, I think people are misinterpreting the release of the restricted content. They're thinking they've got to go and get it all. No, you don't. Okay, you get it over the month. So go and get one item and then go and get your tokens as per normal. But if they can put in restrictive resistors as they've done, that also means that they actually can put in charge armor.
Of course.
Which I will be pushing for massively over the next few months. So the lower levels can get some X and some M. Maybe put it down to tier 3 or tier 4 or something.
Well, they should not only that, they should be putting in the charge armor that affects the in-game content that we have now, like, for example, Skyfires and Phoenix.
Yeah. The old resistor, the one that doesn't have now the boost on it, that could be in there as well. There's many things that people, Gales 1s, Gales 2s, that if they've managed to do it now and fix it,
Gales 2s, please.
Gale 2s, people have been crying out for them. People will lap up the FM if those sort of things.
Man.
And even if they only put in like one, even if it was like one charged a week that you could get, I mean, it would still be a great benefit and great help to everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be massive, but obviously they've clearly made it work now because they've got these new resistors in there. So I don't see why, if they've managed it in the top tier, why they can't replicate that down. And, a Gale 1 down at bottom at tier 2 for someone that's just come into the game will outperform anything that they're researching. And it's hard for them to get. I mean, when was the last time someone released a Gale 2? When did you last see a Gale 2 as a prize?
We need them.
I never have. Even when I used to play beforehand, before I made the other account, I never actually have ever seen a Gale.
They need to make Gale
or even
2.
one.
They have to make Gale 2 unlimited.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. They could put 5 in tier 2, and you could just keep going through and getting there. There's 5 for this month and that sort of stuff. I don't think it has to be unlimited. I quite like the fact that you don't get everything as freebies, because otherwise then everybody's just got everything. It's a little bit like why I don't like, I mean, it's a complete change of concept because we can talk about FM in a minute, but I don't actually mind it taking a long time for me to build my turret and a long time to put the top on it. What I do dislike is the long time it takes to change them out.
Yeah.
That should be a third of the time. You should be able to do whatever base parts you can get. If you go over and stack them all up and go and gain them, you should be able to swap it out for another one, or take it off. Sorry, take it off. How's that? That's fair. Take it off so it's an empty turret, and then go and stack up again with base parts, and then those base parts should be able to get you to put the new one on, because you've already researched it once. And then basically it's not free because you've spent time going and getting your base parts twice filled up. But at least then, you're just adapting your base to adapt to the current, latest X. But when you're building your base up in the first instance, when OPs change and that sort of stuff, I agree that you can't do it all instantly, because otherwise there's no point upgrading OPs, because the turret's just instant then. I mean, hardly anybody has got all their turrets done because it does take so long. And if you were to coin it, then you're obviously the richest man in the world, because it would be a horrendous amount. So for me, there are things that can still be done, and things that I will still be canvassing to have done. So those are sort of 2 areas I'm thinking of. But anyway, that's enough for me.
Anyone else, guys? Come on, you got 5 minutes.
Here's a quick one though. We're coming around to the 1 year anniversary of Charged Armor. Are they bringing out Charged Armor Stage 2, or are they going to keep on giving us? So then that means then they should put the old Charged Armor into. It wasn't. So hold on, wait one. Actually, if they are bringing out a Stage 2, then that means it was never going to be a luxury. Never going to be a luxury.
No, we have already learned that they have. With the last raid, they've made the Charged Armor required to do the A sets with any viable sort of point to repair ratio. which I feel in the FM is like 103 and above, the 103 target and higher. So they said it was a luxury. That might have been the case for like a month, and then it wasn't anymore. I hope to see charged in. I want to see charged 1 and tier 3 now. They're probably going to bring out charged M and X2, I guess technically. They'll probably bring that out next month. I bet it's going to be 2 million points apiece, and we're all going to flip tables. Hi, George.
Hi, sorry, my mic is not working the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to be
I
right
can
now.
hear you fine now. I actually want to
Works
talk about
good.
the resistors, if I'm not hijacking anybody.
No, go on.
Yeah, it's so like there's good and bad. It's good because you only need to buy the one. So if you were kind of struggling and you couldn't get enough for everything, you just buy one resistor and then buy the chest. And if you don't have speed 6, it's not. If you don't have speed 6, it's better. But then it's also an escalation weapon before you finish building your fleet or escalation special. And you've already put engines on all your ships. It's not like you left a slot open. So the escalation has begun. And with the massive amount of damage that some of these things have to put out to deal the damage that they do, I feel like these are being tuned for. I'm going to try to get 4 for my bucks and reluctantly put them on because that's what Kix tunes for. I think they're a bit too highly costed, and I think it's lazy design to do this. The reason that we had hydraulic resistors in the first place was there wasn't an armor special for concussive at that time. There was some armor, but that was it. But there's plenty of specials to give us ballistic and radio resist. So we didn't need this in any capacity. If they wanted to test it that they can put limited stuff in the FM, okay, sure. I still think this could have been cheaper. If you wanted to get everything, it's insane, but you don't need to. I can't really hate it because it's better, but I want to hate it because everything else about it is bad.
I'm curious, it's one raid so far and we've gotten escalation. And then are we going to get more escalation next month, or are we going to get the new garrison stuff?
What escalation did you get?
But why not?
Hydraulic resistors?
That's not really an escalation though. You're taking off a speed and you're getting what, 15%?
Yeah.
I mean, what if you don't have speed 6?
You're losing 2. You're only losing a speed of 2, but you're getting 15% resistance. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially when PvE is resistance centric. I mean, every little bit. That's how you tune it. So that is an escalation. I mean, that's the definition of escalation.
It's not strictly better. It's kind of a trade-off, but it's not really a trade-off considering I did some math, like the Torp in the old raid last cycle was dealing like 110,000 damage. So yeah, do you want 15% resist against 100 and something thousand damage weapons, or do you want 2 more speed? Like, there's no question.
Looking at it like that, then yeah, okay, I can understand. Yeah, but why are they doing it so soon?
But
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Is we already have an escalation.
Yeah, you're right, George.
I'm curious. I mean, they said March is when we're going to change the FM, right?
I think we're going to get both. I think we're going to get escalation weapons in March and FM, and we're going to get charged CT2 in the FM.
Well, the
FM
is changing in March, correct?
Yeah.
Was it March or May? Something like that. It was March, right?
March.
So
it was March.
I would assume if it's changing in March, next month, we're going to get FM stuff. If they wait till the last second, well, I mean, they did that with the Charged R2. I mean, last raid, you're going to get your last 5.
I'm hoping the FM has changed and this change. Okay, I'm hoping the elite, at the moment it's a 115. I'm hoping maybe they'll keep the 115 as it is, and then maybe a 120. So though if you
that would be nice.
So if you don't touch the one, and do you know what? Over a period of time, make the 115 worth maybe like the 111 is, and then the 120 goes up. So let's not have more points, because more points don't make better prizes, because that just means the escalation of prizes. But then, if you've got to learn the new target, you've got to learn a new target, and it may just be a different trick. It doesn't have to be hard.
They're already inflating the prices. I mean, it's already started.
They put a value. I mean, they put a value on prices. I'm not saying and it's a value over time. It's not a value of monetary. But the point is, it doesn't necessarily have to be harder. It just has to be different. Now, if it is going to be harder, you need some new equipment. As long as you can get it in the February FM, so you can fit it, sort of stuff, so that you can do the 120 once you've worked it out. I'm calling it 120. I don't know if it's going to be. But then the 115 drops down. It's still there. It's still viable. It's just going to take you a bit longer.
That's what I was going.
Don't remove it.
Right. That's where I was going. Was I just want to see the stuff before the change, not at the change or after the change.
Yeah. I mean, or you could maybe put it in as a bottom line prize somewhere else. I don't know. It'd be nice if we do require it though to stage it. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have no insight on that whatsoever. So, but you are right for the timing. It should happen around about March. So,
the other thing too is that I was thinking about was, and I think me and Ren had spoken about this a little bit. We're going with Buccaneers, right? Like we're all in on Buccaneers because we have to finish the make sure you get one good fleet, right? But then if I'm building towards the FM for a change, when am I going to finish the Hydras?
Yeah, that is my concern, I must admit. I'm still the advocate, though, of, as I have been for the last 2 months, I am the advocate of let's go back to a single S target and let's go back with options for hitting that single S target and not have this crazy thing since sort of like early summer last year where they crazily decided to, I mean, okay, it's actually before then because, it was nice. I mean, go back to a year ago, okay, and it was nice having Hellraiser, and it was nice having Tide Seekers, and it was nice having a target that was a real challenge. And if you made a mistake, I mean, it wasn't nice losing your Hellraiser, but the fact is, if you were a good driver, you got rewarded, you put no damage whatsoever. But you could still crash through it, no problem at all with your Tide Seekers. And there were some sexy builds out there, people doing really, really well and having great fun. But it was one target. It was just a single target, and you didn't have to have two fleets afterwards because the TLCs come out, and it was still a single target. Pick whichever way you want to go. This knock-on effect, even if we do manage to bin the twin target, the twin, fleets, it's going to cause mayhem for the res and all the goodies we need to collect for some months to come, if it does change at all. But hey, don't know.
I don't know if they're going to be able to tune for that though. Now, I mean, that was the thing last raid was that they had done the separate ones because they just couldn't figure out. And honestly, last month was probably the best month that they could have done. A balanced target, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it and still differentiate between the two. Honestly, I don't know why the hell we need two.
Yeah, exactly. But look, ultimately, though, I'm still going to look forward to the next raid. As long as I can fix out those couple of glitches that we had and get, obviously, things that weren't working again, I'm actually quite looking forward to it. I still like the targets a lot, immensely, in fact. Some of the nicest looking targets and most interesting stuff for some time, So, yeah.
I wonder what they'll have fixed. There were so many strange issues with specials and stuff, and it's like, it just deflates the sense of joy. Like, yeah, I was doing A sets briefly, and I'm looking around, I was like, oh, I can sneak around here. I can go from this angle. I can sneak and do this. I don't have to run up into these fields. And then I take these out sneaky like, and then run up behind the fields and then just creep into their range and shoot them. Like, oh, I'm learning to do this target. And this is interesting.
The puzzle, yeah.
Yeah, it's the puzzle. But the thing is, the puzzle required a lot of 30-second cooldowns and running around everywhere, and half of our specials aren't working. And like, can these things be fixed? Like, can they even physically be fixed? And can Kix fix them? Like, I had more questions than answers when I exited the last raid, and I just don't know. Like, it's not a question of are my builds good enough or do they follow convention. It's how good are the programmers at Kix at getting everything to work as it should. I feel like it's more of an indication.
No, I don't know. It's just it's the consistency of them as well. Is the point? To be honest, that's not for me to concern myself with. Mine is the end state of the game. I don't really go out quite. I don't even need to mention programmers. I don't care. Is the piece that they've delivered enjoyable or not? That's it. If I'm enjoying myself, I stay. If I don't enjoy myself, I won't do it. At the moment in base hitting, I'm not enjoying myself in the slightest. So I'm abstaining. Simple. I'm not doing bounty. It's worthless to me because I have nothing to stop anybody from getting in. And it would take me so much to do something about it. I just couldn't compete, and I'm not lashing out loads of money to do so. Absolutely waste of time.
True saying, Maggie Doody.
Well, guys, it has been an eventful hour. Is there any other topics or anything you want to throw in there before I close the show?
Yes. I've just had that thing back from the guy that was just hitting me actually, and fair dues, and he's probably right. I've just looked at a replay, and there's a problem with OP guns not firing. It's sporadically though. Not sure why that is.
That's on top of multiple other base problems. I've heard of bases not repairing, so you click repair, go out, come back in. It's not
ships
repaired.
Also, yeah, ships also.
Ships not repairing. Your guard ship's not going back into guard.
Yeah, mine just moved, and there's no reason. I've not used. I've not taken off the the thing where you can move them around, fine tune it. Mine are in standard places, and all of a sudden there's one outside the base now.
For that specific issue, Mark, if you do put your guard back into your base, please at least move one ship to a different location and then move it back. That should, from what I've seen, stop it. It's an old bug that's been there for quite a while. So just be aware that there are some issues with defending your base after you've been hit.
Yeah, my ship literally jumped the completely opposite side of my base, which is bizarre because I've never placed it there ever. But
yeah, so just be aware of that.
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, this chap that came in, he was doing some testing. One, he wanted to know is if my OP gun was firing because he couldn't get his to fire when he was defending against somebody else. And two, he was having some problems with his ship, so he actually just came in and sat there because that's what he wanted to look at. So that's fair dues. Yeah, I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Okay.
Good.
Okay then, guys. Well, listen, I will end. Is there anything else anyone wants to throw out there? If not, I will close the show. Okay.
Give me some more wino.
Okay. Well, listen, guys. It's been a good show, and thanks to everyone that's came on to the show to chat tonight, and thanks everyone that's came on watch the show. As I say, next week it will be Wednesday by the looks of things. We're going to have GDR on discussing PvP and maybe his plans for 2018, and hopefully that will give us all a little bit more clarity as to where we are just now. But we'll see. But in the meantime, have a good weekend. Don't forget to do VXP like Venom did, and get out there and have some fun. And we will see you next week. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.